Your phone, your car, your supermarket shelf. Trace any of them backward, and one address keeps appearing. China. This isn't a story about conquest. It's a story about leverage, built quietly, shipment by shipment, contract by contract. Dependence doesn't arrive with sirens. It arrives as the cheapest reliable option, repeated until alternatives disappear. China didn't win by making everything. It won by making the missing pieces, the parts that stop factories worldwide. The strategy was simple and brutal. Become the place where global business runs fastest, then make fast feel non-negotiable. First, China accepted low-margin assembly work because volume teaches skills, and skills eventually buy independence. Then it climbed upward, molds, tooling, components, machine parts, because whoever owns the middle controls the whole ladder. A miracle happened. Suppliers moved close together. Not by accident, by incentives, land, infrastructure, and relentless local competition. Clusters turned into ecosystems. Plastics nearby, chips nearby, packaging nearby, QA nearby, so ideas became products at terrifying speed. In this ecosystem, speed isn't marketing. Speed is survival because the buyer with the fastest supplier wins the market. Prototype today, tool tomorrow, ship next week. That rhythm doesn't just beat competitors, it breaks them. And when the world learned that rhythm, it rewired itself around it. Inventory, launches, cash flow, everything synchronized to Chinese output. Now add ports. Not just ports, megaports. Because containers are power when you can move them cheaper than anyone else. Ports connect to rail. Rail connects to factories. Factories connect to suppliers. This is engineered geography built for throughput. The world saw development. China saw an operating system. Power grids, roads, permits, logistics, everything optimized for production. Then came confidence. Global trade integration gave companies legal comfort to invest. And once you invest, leaving becomes expensive. Supply chains have gravity. Once enough companies cluster, every new company joins because everyone else is already there. That's when dependence stops being a choice and becomes a system, where switching feels like self-harm to quarterly profits. And here's the trick. The most powerful goods aren't glamorous. They're intermediate chemicals, industrial inputs, and machine components. If you control inputs, you control timelines. If you control timelines, you control who ships first and who runs out. Consider rare earth processing. Mines may be global, but refining and separation capacity decides who can actually build advanced products. In batteries, China didn't just build cars. It built the supply chain, materials, cells, cathodes, anodes, and scale. In solar, it didn't just export panels. It exported pricing pressure, making it hard for competitors to survive long enough to scale. This is dependence by bottleneck. You can assemble anywhere, but if key inputs run through China, you still wait. Then come standards. Not slogans, technical standards. The quiet locks that decide which machines talk to which systems. When a port crane, grid component, or telecom part matches one ecosystem, replacements and upgrades often follow the same ecosystem. Financing deepens the lock-in. A loan builds the project. The project installs equipment. The equipment demands future parts. That's not ideology, it's maintenance. And maintenance is where long-term dependence quietly hides. Meanwhile, consumers saw lower prices. Businesses saw higher margins. Governments saw fast infrastructure. Everyone rewarded the same hub. Then shocks arrived. Pandemics, disruptions, sanctions, and suddenly the world realized how few backup suppliers truly existed. Resilience costs money. Extra inventory, duplicate suppliers, spare capacity. Markets hate paying for insurance until disaster arrives. This is why decoupling is a slogan, not a switch. You can't copy ecosystems overnight. You must rebuild the boring middle: tooling firms, chemical inputs, machine parts, QA labs, logistics networks, and trained workers. And you must rebuild trust because supply chains run on relationships, not PowerPoint promises. Even if assembly moves, components often still route through China, because intermediate layers remain fast, cheap, and deeply optimized. Restrictions can slow China, but they also force substitution, pushing domestic innovation where access becomes uncertain. So the real story is not China versus America. It's systems versus sentiment, operations beating opinions. Industrial power today is the ability to surge, produce essentials quickly, move them cheaply, and scale when demand spikes. That kind of capacity changes diplomacy. Countries hesitate to disrupt lifelines that keep jobs stable and shelves full. Dependence feels invisible because consumers see brands, not supply chains, and supply chains are designed to stay unseen. China didn't need war. It built indispensability, so the world's normal functioning quietly relied on its output. Indispensability is the strongest power, when your rivals can criticize you, but they still must buy from you. This is how dependence forms. Efficiency first, concentration second, bottlenecks third, and leverage last. If the future becomes multi-hub, it will be built slowly by rebuilding the middle layers, not just relocating final assembly. China made the world dependent without war by becoming the fastest, cheapest, most complete industrial ecosystem on Earth, until alternative became fiction.